Welcome to Vibrant Living Conversations. I'm your host, Gemma Puddy. This podcast is where I explore vibrant living out loud through real conversations, imperfect, curious, and deeply human, with inspiring people here in the inland Northwest and beyond. Together, we explore what it really means to live well, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, in a way that's intentional, grounded, and realistic. Through topics such as conscious living, personal growth, intuitive spirituality, mamahood, wellness, creativity, and the rhythms of everyday life, this podcast embraces authenticity over perfection and humanity over purity to ultimately glow from the inside out. For this conversation, I'm talking with Jordan Christine Gray, multidimensional energy healer and teacher, and creator of Golden Light Source Healing and Portal of Light Healing Center here in Coeur d'Alene. I've been coaching with Jordan every few weeks since the beginning of this year, which has been a life-changing journey of diving into my own layers of, let's say, stuff, lots of stuff, and having Jordan in to support me in listening to the depths of me has been pretty epic. Yes, it does sound complex and intense, and it has been, but that's why we're here today, to chat it out and ground those experiences in this day-to-day reality. So welcome, Jordan. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here, and I'm so glad that after our journey together that we can do this together, just that next step forward. Yeah,
For sure. It
forward.
feels like bringing it all together.
Yeah.
So let's start with you, though. I know you've had an epic journey, and you're
I
definitely
know.
here for a very strong reason. Do you want to tell us some of your highlights of how you came to where you are now, owning your businesses, and just you even as a human, you as Jordan?
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite the journey. It basically started when I was born. From the time I was a little girl and I entered this world, my mother had told me that as soon as I could talk, I would talk about things like, oh, I remember heaven. And it was like these green rolling hills. And I still have
Right.
the visual in my mind of what I used to see when I was 3, when I would think about heaven and what that meant. And I started to have paranormal activity in my bedroom a lot. And so I was constantly bombarded with spirits and ghosts when I was really young, like 3, 4. And it was quite scary, especially not having any support or anyone to talk to about it. And I think it's just the fact that no one really knew in my life about it, and no one knew that I was going through that because, you're 3 or 4, you're like, "Oh, this is just what happens." Like, so
Yeah.
yeah. So I'd have all these spirits come, and it started to get really scary. And I'd have a lot of that sleep paralysis. I remember
Mhm.
multiple times like trying to scream for help, and I couldn't scream. And I believe that what happened was while I was young and I was going through these paranormal activity type of experiences, it freaked me out so much that my soul started astral traveling at night. So I would go to my room, I'd lay on my bed, and I would just literally lay down as flat as I could, and I would
Mhm.
start to get these sensations. It was like I just knew how to do it. I didn't have to plan for it or think about it. I just knew how to leave. And so my soul would just start getting bigger and bigger, and it would basically come out of my body. And then I would become the whole room, if that makes sense. It's like this very thick space that you enter in the energy
Mhm.
realm. And so I started to
Uh-huh.
become warm and bigger, almost like if you're a balloon inflating. That's what it felt like. And then I would take up this whole room and then I would take off. And I would do this basically from like age 3 or 4, whenever it started, until probably around age 8 or 9. And I did it very consistently. It was actually one of my like leisure activities to just like go astral travel and leave my body. And there
What
was
were
always
you
one.
doing then during those? Like, what does astral travel really mean? Like, you're one of these people that has always known and always been in tune and always aligned by the sounds of it. But what does
Yeah.
that mean to even astral travel?
So what that even means is that so let me actually preface with an explanation of a little bit of like the science behind the energy body and how it unites with the physical body. So from the perspective that I come from and people in the spiritual community, it's that, we are these aspects of God, creator source,
Mm.
consciousness
Right.
that entered into these physical bodies to have an experience and to carry through codes and frequencies into this specific world at this specific time. And there's many different things. Some people come in to just break generational curses, to break family lineages. Some people come in to experience karma from past lives, and so they have to play it out to see if they're going to learn their lessons. Some people enter
Mm.
to carry codes from higher frequencies because that's what the earth needs right now. So there's like various reasons why our souls might come in and choose the body and have this experience on earth. And so, what's happening when we're astral traveling is our soul starts to remember that it's not locked into the physical body. And so it starts to leave and it starts to break the barriers of that physicality and sort of open the veils and start to travel into the astral realms and all the different dimensions. And then from there, you can kind of go wherever you want. So I personally, I don't remember where I would go, but I know I would leave and it was
Yeah.
consistent. I wish I could remember, but I remember going out into space
Interesting.
sometimes. Like I would be out
Yeah.
in just this black velvety space. I have very vivid memories of that, but I don't really remember what would happen in all these areas. I have a really good friend, the only other person I know who used to astral travel naturally when they were younger, and he remembers where he went. He would go to space and he would become a consciousness of these shape-shifting geometric shape entities, but entities from a positive space. And they were group consciousness, and there was all these different spirits, and they would like shape shift into different forms, and they would
I see.
like telepathically connect with each other. And he remembers
Wow.
going there and being a part of that collective unity consciousness. So I don't, there's a lot of things that you can do when you astral travel. Some people can actually physically go in and enter, like, let's say, like the White House and read
Yeah.
documents and things, and which is really cool. But yeah,
I've
that's
heard it through the telepathy tapes too, the podcast, the telepathy tapes where they interview and are working with autistic, specifically non-talking autistic children. And
Mhm.
they have like brought out that they've talked about even going to like study with like kings and queens and different, that's what they're doing. And at the same thing, they're not feeling safe in their bodies. They're not feeling connected to this world. So they are doing kind of what it sounds like you were, is like going out, like being like, "Forget this, like, take me to a different realm where I can be understood and learn and be heard," right? So fascinating.
Yeah. The telepathy tapes are amazing.
Yeah,
They
they are.
are amazing.
Like,
Yeah.
blew my mind, still blow my
Yeah.
mind, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So just coming back around to kind of the progression of
Yeah,
everything,
yeah.
I was always just very I felt like very alien. I felt very like this wasn't my home. Even from a little
Mhm.
child, I would say to myself, like, I want to go home. And I remember as a child, I felt like I was being watched all the time. Like, I
Mm.
remember feeling like there was spirits around just watching me, and I'd get really mad at them and kind of like be like, hey, you're not allowed to watch me, and just kind of like try to push them
Yeah.
away. But I could feel that at like 6 years old. And I was always very hypersensitive. And so, kind of fast forward to right around age 13, my mom started going to a chiropractor who then referred her to a biofeedback practitioner, which is
Okay.
really, she was an energy healer without
Mhm.
calling herself an energy healer. Cause this was, gosh, how old am I? 38. I mean, this was, almost 30 years ago. And
Right, right.
so she sent me to her because she's like, "Oh my gosh, my daughter needs you. Like, my daughter needs someone like you." And so I started going to her every month, and she would work with my body, and she would sit in front of me. And basically, if I told her I had a problem, like, I'm 13, let's just say confidence issues, she
Yeah.
would be able to like start at the confidence and kind of track through my body's responses where the wound was that was creating, let's say, the lack of confidence. And
Mm.
then once we found the wound and where it was located in my body, which now that I'm older and I've studied this, I understand she was going into the chakras. Then what she would do is she'd have me focus on specific colors and specific mantras that I would repeat over and over in different fonts, like in different size fonts and cursive. And I would imagine and visualize these colors and these affirmations and these visuals of the words in the area of my body that
Mm.
that was holding on to the wound, right? And so I
Right.
went to her every month until I was maybe, I would say, between like 22 and 24. So starting at 13 and having this experience with basically energy work gave me a strong foundation of energy work and of the ethereal realms. And it really helped me to evolve and to clear a lot of my wounds at a young age. Not to say that I
Yeah.
didn't have a lot growing up and through my adulthood as well, but it did give me a head start and a really strong foundation so that by the time I got to college and I decided I wanted to go to college because I wasn't even sure because I was just like, yeah, this is just this world. I don't know what I'm here for. I was kind of lost and just having fun with life. And I decided to go study psychology and
Okay.
got my bachelor's degree in psychology. And during my schooling, I studied with a professor who really took to me, and he was much older, and he had wrote his own material very much in line with the whole like red pill, blue pill concept that the
Oh,
Matrix teaches us.
mhm.
And so
Right.
he really introduced me to like psychoanalysis and how to start studying the mind. I was working at the time as a swim instructor with kids, teaching them to swim. And so we did case studies on my different children that I was teaching. And so he'd teach me how to like basically level with them and just connect with them on that one-on-one soul level with them. So that was really strong for me.
Hey,
And
so while
then,
I'm just thinking for the audience, will
yeah,
you explain a little bit the red pill, blue pill, and
yes.
then like what that really means to connect with them on the soul level?
I'm sorry, can you say that last part, to connect with what?
To connect with the children, like on that soul level that you, yeah.
Yeah. So the red pill, blue pill concept is you're given a choice at some point in life when you start to awaken and you decide, am I going to stay the same and not allow myself to see what this world is really about, right? Am I going to stay in the
Mhm.
illusion that we're just this body and we're just here to just, work 9 to 5 and just kind of
Right.
this kind of more like systematic way of living? That's the blue pill. Are you going to take the red pill? And you're going to completely blow open your mind and realize that this whole thing is an illusion and that there's so much more to reality
Mhm.
than just the physicality of it. So it's very multi-layered, very multidimensional when you really go into the depths of it. And then as far as connecting with the children on a soul level, to give it a good analogy of how he would help me, he basically told me like, these are 2 to 12-year-old children learning how to swim. And so you're trying to get a 3-year-old to jump in the water and put their head underwater and feel safe to swim. And he taught me, he's like, these children need to know they're safe. That's all they want. Which as
Mhm.
I'm older, I realized that's all my clients want too, is they,
Yeah, right.
their souls want to
Right.
feel safe in this physical body, in this physical world, right?
Yeah, for
And so
sure.
he taught me just because you're in the pool, right? So you guys are at like a surface level eye to eye. And he goes, just look him in the eye and just say, hey, I got you. I'm not going to let you sink. I'm right here with you.
Mhm.
And it's
Mm.
these simple moments where it's like a heart to heart soul level, like I'm looking deep into their soul through their eyes and saying, hey, you can trust me, basically.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Yay.
Yeah, so then from there, I was going into a master's program. I thought I wanted to be a psychologist. And in my master's program, I also had started studying Reiki. And this
Okay.
was, gosh, I want to say like 18 years ago. And
Mhm.
so 16 years ago, I would say. And so I started studying Reiki, got certified levels 1, 2, 3, master teacher within like a couple year period. And I just knew like this is what I wanted to do. So I decided to leave the master's program and pursue a career in Reiki. And I left a job in advertising and went and worked at a shop that sold crystals. So
Amazing.
it was
Amazing.
amazing. I was making like $8 an hour. And I was just like, okay, here we are. Like,
I love that you trusted that though. I think that piece even between red and blue, like for it happens in so many different it can happen to someone throughout their lifetime, right? Some people don't figure it out till they're a lot older. Some like you were born into this world being like, what? There is something else. We're not just here to be in this body in the daily grind. And even with the way people are creating their lives, right? With, I need to work the advertising job. I need to be part, like you're saying, the systematic structure. But then having, when you do have the aha, when you do see, oh, there's a lot more to this than the 9 to 5 American dream, then being able to have the confidence, the knowing, the belief, and really holding it in your body that you will be safe and supported as you choose this journey that you are choosing from your inner calling, not from filling a system in the world. That's
mhm.
powerful. Like that is a huge trust moment, right?
Huge trust moment. And I feel like the key for that, for anyone that might be kind of struggling with that battle and wanting to jump ship, but also
Yeah.
a little afraid, is really working with your soul, which is just
Mhm.
inside of you. All you have to do is just take some time in meditation and call that soul forward and then asking it, or I'm sorry, not asking it, but telling it, you're safe with me now. Like I've got you.
Yeah.
You're safe to be in this life. You're safe to remember your power. Unfortunately, we're in a society that has kind of conditioned us to stay small and not be as big as
Mhm.
we're naturally designed to be. And so I feel like once we make the decision that we're ready to start stepping into more of our wholeness and become and expand all that we're meant to be, the universe will support you. And the universe will start bringing you tools and people and community and opportunities that are going to help you expand because they see that you're ready. But if you stay small and you don't take those risks, they're not going to open the doors because they're like, to
Everyone,
your,
we are talking about me right now, is what Jordan is talking about. This is the coaching I have been doing for the
no.
last 3 months, is like, it's easy. Well, and for me too, like the physical, the worldly roles that I have and identify with, like motherhood, working a corporate job, like being a wife, are very time consuming. And I love them. They really do fill me up in a lot of ways. And then part of me is from the depths of me is saying, like, calling back to being in podcasting and like using my voice, specifically using my throat chakra to share stories and bring these conversations to light. There was some part of me, which wasn't my soul, we all know, was like, but from a practical, logical side, like how there aren't enough hours in the day. So getting back to, okay, when you choose something that lights you up from your soul that you're here for, the space appears, right? It's like, it truly does. And it's not like a magical thing, but suddenly, like, the huge job project that had a deadline next week has gotten pushed back 3 months, or your kid's play got canceled, or the grandparents are going to take them, or whatever it is. Like,
Mhm.
suddenly, it's not the struggle is with your worldly brain trying to like be logical about all the things. Like you're saying, the soul is not a separate part of us, but the worldly stories that we've been telling ourselves and are being told around us can get in the way. And that's not the alignment. That's not the soul telling you that. That's you just trying to like survive day to day, not thrive as the person, as the essence that you're here to be. Right. So anyway, that's
Well, and to kind of go off of that, what's coming forward is to just kind of remind us that when that's happening, when, the soul has most likely at a young age sort of kind of been half in, half out of this world because it's like, well, this isn't really safe. There's maybe a lot of darkness that maybe we experienced as a child. And so the soul's kind of half in, half out. Then what happens is because the soul's not fully leading from within, the mind then gets reign. And the mind that's been
mm,
conditioned by the system then gets the reign of the body,
yeah,
right? And so
exactly.
what we want to do in order to bring it back to the soul is basically you have to work with your brain and say, "Hey, you're safe to let go now. You're safe to try to be hyper vigilant and overprotective and just kind of let go and let that soul lead again, you know?"
Yeah, as even as you were coaching me, and I mean, I meditate, right? So I know like, okay, I'm getting out of my mind and getting more into my body or whatever. But when you like actually said out loud, mind, thank you for looking after Gemma, but you're safe right now. Like we're gonna move into my heart or to my another part of my body. It was
Mhm.
fun to think of it as like my mind is trying to like keep me safe and an active part of like me in this world, but she isn't me. She is
Mm.
not me, which I know I've been saying this for years, but actually to like coach with you and be like, you can go to sleep, mind. It's okay. Like you're not needed right now. Like there are other aspects of me that are me, right? Like specifically my
Mhm.
soul, and that can lead the charge, that are capable if I am let the systematic stories of my mind, like just not always being believed, you know?
Absolutely. And I feel like in doing this work for so long and having worked with the soul and having taught people this, what I've noticed is that when we allow the soul to come back, then we basically have to reintegrate the mind back to the soul, where the mind
Mm,
is then working for the soul because the mind needs to do something. It needs to have a task. It needs to have a job. And if the soul's disconnected from the mind, then that's when you get that very logical, very left brain approach, especially if there's been a lot of wounds because it's trying to protect you and it's always trying to do everything to protect you. Even if it comes from a harshness, it's still trying to protect you. So once we align back with that soul and then allow the mind to then say, okay, now I'm working for the soul, right? Not the
mhm.
system, not the program, but the soul
Yeah,
and the heart, then there's a complete alignment where you
yeah.
can truly start living from that soul perspective and acting upon that soul perspective.
I love that. Well, and I
Yeah.
projected my struggles onto you. I feel like when you decided to go into Reiki,
Mhm.
Was it a hard decision or were you like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing? Get me out of this master's degree. Here I go.
It was just like that. I just knew.
Yeah. You just
I
listened
just
and you
knew.
knew. Yeah.
I just knew. I was like, this is what I want to do. And I thought to myself, I was like, you can do kind of the same exact thing you're doing in psychology in Reiki, just without all the other stuff that you have to go through. I mean, yes, they're
Mhm.
different forms and they both have different things that they focus on, but I knew that for me it was about helping people. It was about helping them come back into their soul, helping them work with their energy body, helping them work with all of their whole self and work through trauma. And so I was able to take a lot of what I learned in my psychology studies and then just carry that forward into a Reiki training, which then eventually turned into a multidimensional approach, and then kind of have this very holistic practice of body, mind, and soul. So I felt like the schooling was a definite stepping stone for me that I needed to be able to build the business that I've built today and do the level of
Mhm.
work that I'm doing today. So I'm super grateful for it. And then after I dropped out and dropped out of the master's program and started doing just full time Reiki and working at the rock shop, I got pregnant with my first son. And we were living in California at the time. And my husband and I and the kids decided, or I was pregnant. We decided let's go to Seattle and, get a house. And we moved out there and I was just practicing the whole time. And so I practiced all the time, like 3 days a week on different people. And there was someone in my life who was very ill and I worked on her often. So she was a big stepping stone for my practice. And then just over the course of time, when you're doing this work for so long, you just start to see more. And I was starting to see
Mhm.
more, but I was so empathic and so spongy that I would absorb everything. I would absorb my
Mhm.
clients' stuff and I'd bring all this stuff home with me. And it was so hard for me. And I decided, I was like, I need to figure out a way to teach protection, but I also need to figure out a way to manage my own protection because I wasn't finding it. There was nothing I could do with the current level of expertise that I had that could protect me. So eventually I found a in Oregon named Barbara Buck. And I took some classes with her. And I studied with her for about a year, maybe a year to 2 years, doing sessions and classes. And she introduced me to like a multidimensional perspective, that pure source consciousness. And that's by the time I was studying with her, I had moved from Seattle to Coeur d'Alene, which is where I am today. That was in 2020. And it was kind of like right around that time that we moved here. And within those studies, it was like the missing piece of the puzzle was that pure source light and kind of this multidimensional perspective that we have these huge energy bodies that are so much bigger than we can imagine, and how to work with them, clean them, release karmic attachments, release generational wounds, embody future self consciousness, embody infinite potential consciousness, embody source light, and remember that we are source light. And so that was where I leveled up in 2020 from there. And that's when I opened my practice, Golden Light Source Healing, where I worked out of a studio. I shared a room with a woman who was wonderful and did Reiki. And I worked there for a few years and really expanded my practice and really, perfected my techniques. And then I decided I needed my own space. And so I looked for about a year and a half to 2 years and I gave it to God and I said, and Gaia, Earth, and I said,
Mhm.
help me find my space. And eventually I was brought to this beautiful space in downtown Coeur d'Alene with 3 rooms. And I had been teaching classes by this point. I don't think I mentioned that. I started teaching all sorts of spiritual classes about 10 years ago. And so that evolved until me creating this energy healing practice called Source Light Healing, which teaches that very multidimensional approach to healing, as well as how to protect yourself and keep yourself separate from your client, as well as how to help them open their channels. So there's a lot in that energy practice. But by the time I had developed that, I found this space. And now I just have other teachers coming in here, bringing their gifts, which is really important for me. I always feel like that's part of my mission, is to help open up the space for other people to step into. So that's where I'm at today. And that's what is my story of how I got here.
Amazing. So many questions. We could take this in so many directions. I guess now, like, who are the clients that you work with? Are the people that you are coming to you almost already knowledgeable and with like soul and multidimensional healing and or are you getting also clients that are I don't want to sound mean, but clueless. Like I used to be that person. I'm like, I don't really understand all of this multidimensional stuff and how my soul really works in my body. And like, but I like you. I like what you're saying. I like your vibes. Like, I just want to work with you. What kind of audience are you working with?
So I work with a lot of different kinds of people. And what I've found is that I truly believe that everyone has this capacity to become their most expanded, enlightened, spiritual God self. And so some people come in and they have experience and, they're pretty advanced in their spiritual practice. And some people come in and they have no idea why they came in. They just felt called, right? And
Yes.
within a
Love it.
session, yeah, within a session or 2 of working together, I mean, they're just, like, completely blown open and they remember, because that's really what it is. When
Mhm.
I'm guiding someone, I'm helping them remember who they are, why they came here. And so my practice has evolved to the point where I'm at now is almost everyone that comes in, my goal is to help them open up to such a degree that they can feel their energy body, they can welcome source light, they can welcome earth light, and they can expand into all of who they are and start to get information about their soul mission, why they came to Earth, even remembrances of past lives, whether on Earth or different galaxies and different dimensions, and starting to just expand their awareness of who they really are and open up the veils for them. So I truly believe that every single person has it at their core, even if it doesn't seem like it. It's just the people that are going to pay the money and come in to do a session are going to be people who are going to believe in it. So I've
Right.
always been blessed with people who come in and are just like ready. I've
Yeah.
actually never had to deal with a skeptical person in my 13 years of experience, which is pretty amazing when you think about it. And I also think it's a testament to the work that comes through because they're like, "Well, you can't make this up. I felt it. I
Right.
saw it with my own eyes." And that's one of the things that is so important to me with my practice is that I'm teaching my clients or my students how to experience the energy themselves, meaning I'm not just going to tell them that I'm seeing all these things. I don't do that unless they need a boost. I'll give them a little something. But my goal, I strive to make sure that every single client finds a way to see it, feel it, or sense it themselves. Some people don't see, some people feel, some people
Mhm.
do see. There's all the different clair senses that they're using. So I can
Mhm.
figure out a way to get every person to get to that space. Because I think that's
Mm.
the most important thing. Because also
Yeah.
it's almost like a giving away of power if you're like, okay, read me and tell me what you see. I think it's
Yeah.
so crucial for sovereignty for us to be able to experience it ourselves.
Well, and I think even with the type of people that you work with, I think I just want to emphasize that you don't have to understand it all. I don't claim to understand much of it, but like knowing that there is more than this physical existence
Mhm.
and going to work with someone such as yourself, you don't have to have all the answers. Like you're saying, just that calling. That's how I started was just, I just feel the need to work with this person and following that is powerful. Like go to one session and you'll be broken open and you'll keep going back. But it's not I think that's the piece is that for someone that's listening and thinking, "What? What?" Like, there'll be some part of you, I'm sure, that's like, I know that there's something bigger than this." But then even in your sessions, that was such a big difference with working with you than past energy workers that I've worked with, is that you were facilitating my learning and experiencing. I've been to a lot of them that do tell me, like, "I'm seeing this. You are this person. I feel this for your life," which is disempowering. And they didn't intend it that way. But for me, I experienced it as, okay, but then how do I connect with guides, with my own energy, with my own soul, and take this into my daily spiritual practice for myself, not needing you, the practitioner, to facilitate the magic for me, right? So that was such a difference. And in each session, for the most part, right, I was lying on your massage table, you were putting crystals all down my chakras, which was amazing. And then, I mean, I think you and I had ideas about how each session would go, and then some of them just took on a life of their own based on, like, what the energy, what guides, what source was, like, seeing that needed to be unraveled in me on that day. So, it was just such a cool process that I was a part of and now can take into my own life and have to live as me, not me needing you to support me, which sounds so silly,
Exactly.
but it's been so not anything I've experienced before.
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
yes. So, I'm curious what tools, because I know you've got a lot of tools in your tool belt, but like what tools do you like to use in your just daily practice nowadays? I'm sure it's changed a bazillion times since you were three, but like in your daily practice now, how do you, this has been my constant question, right? It's like, how do you live connected and divinely guided and while being a human? And I know it's not like one versus the other, but
Mhm,
that's sometimes when I'm in my day to day and I'm like, 8 hours just passed and I've been staring at the computer and I'm like, what am I
mhm.
doing? Like, what are your daily practices to keep you aligned, healthy, connected? I'll let
Mhm.
you speak.
Yeah, so, well, I'm a huge advocate of opening, activating, and aligning your energy channel, and I know that
Mhm.
that might seem kind of foreign to some people, but the way that I see it after doing this work for so long, I started to see that the energy field has 2 poles. There's one way at the top and one way at the bottom, and the one at the top connects to God, Source Creator, and the one at the bottom connects to the heart of Earth, the center of Earth. And so, my biggest practice and what I teach my clients and students is to learn how to activate the channel, to create that open pillar, to allow the light to run through us because we're the vessel, allowing that light to move us and allowing it to guide us forward. Because again, I believe that everyone came here with a specific purpose. And so, when we align with the pure source and pure earth consciousness, we allow for our purpose, which is really for them, right? We're here to help Earth expand, in my opinion, to help Earth evolve, to help Earth ascend, to help free Earth from the programs of enslavement. And so we're the vessel. And if we can open ourselves to source and to earth, then we can receive that higher consciousness light from source that then integrates into our soul and through our energy field and through our body and our mind and our consciousness and brings the information of how to take steps forward to do what we came here to do to help Earth evolve and to help release her from the programs, especially at this day and age, in this moment in time. Maybe not have been the same mission for people alive 1,000 years ago or 500 years ago, but currently, I believe that that's what's happening right now. And some souls are here to play the role of the villain, and some souls are here to play the role of the hero. And they're both the same source, as hard as that is to accept, because you have to have dark to create more light right now, where we are with the low vibrational frequency that we're in, as far as a 3D consciousness in Earth. You have to basically enter into the darkness, become the darkness, alchemize, then transform the darkness into light by moving into it and through it and then shifting it back into a higher consciousness. And I
Mm.
believe that that's what light workers are doing right now. Shadow workers are doing right now. People who are breaking generational curses, people who are here to expand into their greatness. You have to release all these old programs that you entered into through your bloodline. And so every single wound your ancestors have carried through that they never healed, the people right now that are on this path are doing the work, they're breaking those curses. They're figuring out how to heal those wounds through themselves. And that's why, some people who might be listening to this who feel very connected and resonant with that, just know that you're doing this for literally so many generations that came before you that couldn't release. And that's why there's so many spiritual practices and spiritual modalities that teach you, that say you have a whole team, you have your ancestors with you because they're helping you. They want to be freed from it too, because if your ancestors have a wound, that's connected to karma. And so there's a part of them that's still attached to that wound that can't fully release and go back to source. Right.
Mm.
So every time you heal a wound and you heal a generational pattern, you free up more of your ancestors to be able to go back to source. And I think it's such a beautiful thing to remember when you are doing this work and when you are in pain and when you barely have anything left in you. This is so much more than you. And if I am going to carry that forward, not only is it so much more than just your ancestors, it's also for the collective consciousness. Because if you heal something that was created from a program, okay, then when you release it, you actually start to heal the program and release the program itself, which the program affects everyone. So every little healing you do, you're healing collective consciousness.
Powerful, so powerful.
Yeah.
Well, and it's so, what's the word? Just the thought of being able to heal ancestral healing through us here and now. I mean, that's basically what we did in my first session, right? Like we dove straight in, they dove
Right.
straight in. They were like, "You were ready to release this, Gemma."
Yeah.
And bringing that to words that I use around like friends and family. I actually don't talk about it with friends and family, but just bringing it to light in this podcast where you're saying, if you're feeling some block or heaviness, or for me, I couldn't put my finger on it. I read books about like witches of like old England being in dungeons and stuff. And sounds crazy, but it was also like something was like triggering me on a deeper level than me reading a book. And I just I'd been thinking about coming to you for a year, and it just felt, I'm like, there's something beyond me living in this world right now that needs to be shifted and needs to be moved. And sure enough, when I came in to see you on the first session, right, we're like releasing shackles. And I don't claim to understand it, but I think that depth of our connection beyond this lifetime is just real. It's so real. And I don't think you have to fully understand it to know that if you're feeling some kind of block or pain or something that won't shift, just trusting that
Mm.
there can there's support. And for me too, I was going through a phase of also being like, I can heal myself. I need to do the work. I need to learn how to do it. I need to learn how to hold space for myself. But we're not meant to be here as solo entities, right? Like there are villages. There is a reason that you were given these gifts to support people such as myself, that I don't have to go through it. And I could not have done that by myself, you know? So just following those like inner nuggets and callings and intuitive moments has been magical, even when it's been really painful to say, like, we're just part of this epic, infinite system of energy, and just take the breadcrumbs, like find your community, right? Yeah.
See, I know what that's like to when you're like, "Oh, well, I've taken these classes and I have this experience and I should be able to heal myself." And then you get frustrated and you're like, "Why am I not breaking through?" I think everyone goes through that part of the journey. And then I
Mhm.
think once we kind of step out of that program, because that's the program consciousness that our society is kind of ingrained in us. Like you're supposed to do this yourself. It's kind of like having this pride in that I did this alone, right?
Right.
And there is something to, like, being self-made and, you worked really hard to make it
Mhm.
happen. I do agree with that. However, there can be limitations in that say, like, I always have to do it alone, and when we surrender and we open up and we allow our vulnerability to open up and we allow community to come in and we allow support to come in, that gives us a next level that we couldn't reach without anyone else. Right. And so
Aw.
even myself, I see healers. I actually had a healing this morning from two ladies that I trained that we are
Amazing.
now friends and I've been going through some stuff. So they came and did a session for me this morning.
Amazing.
So I think it's important no matter what phase of the journey you're on to always seek support, even if it's once a month, twice a year, no matter what phase of the journey you're on.
I love that for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And still like the piece that I did need to embrace more is like you still have to show up for yourself. You need to have your daily practices. You need to like clear right. You get
Mm.
to, I think it's very easy to, I don't know if it's especially as women, especially as moms. I don't know. Like it's just, especially in this world, it's easy to get distracted by all the things that could suck your time otherwise, right? But taking the time to be like, hey, this is me with me releasing whatever needs to be released, journaling, whatever you need to do, like that time is vital. That you're the only one that can do that for yourself, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, now I know we could chit chat forever, but is there anything else? I feel like we've covered a lot. Is there anything else that you are feeling called to share today? Any other topics that you'd like to cover?
Uh, I guess I just want to remind anyone who's listening to this that you are so much more than what you think you are. And I know deep down you know that and you can feel that. And I would just encourage you to continue to chase that and to continue to know that everything that you feel is already within you. So, a lot of times we get caught up in like trying to be a certain way or seeking all these external ways to help make sense of what we are. But there's a reason why from the beginning of time, meditation has been one of the strongest spiritual practices and one of the most known and practiced. And that's because what meditation does is it teaches you how to release the mind and to come back into the soul and to come back into that God essence within you, which is where you can find every answer. Because think about it. If you are an aspect of God, creator, source consciousness, and you descended down into a physical body, you have all that God, creator consciousness within you. And God, creator consciousness created everything. So you have all the answers and every little piece of knowledge within you already right now. So what you need to
Mhm.
do, what I've learned in my practice is stripping away of the limitations, stripping away of the masks that we wear, the roles that we wear, the personas that we adopt, the expectations that we're trying to fulfill, all the different things that we think we need to be. It's those blocks that are blocking us from being able to fully remember who we are. So sometimes instead of just chasing the light, sometimes you actually need to remove the programs and those limitations. And so there's a nice healthy balance between it. But everyone that's here right now that's on this journey, that's doing this type of work, and that's probably listening to this podcast, you're here for literally to be a part of the co-creation of the new earth. And that's what's happening right now. We are in the split. We are in the great divide. We have just reached a new level of it that I was channeling the other day. That's going to be about 6 months. So buckle up, keep anchoring your light and let it play out, but don't get caught up in the external chaos. Stay focused on your soul, stay focused on your truth. Don't back down for anyone, even if you can't explain it. You don't have to explain it, okay? You know, and that's all that matters. That's all that matters, okay? Society
Mhm.
tries to tell you you need a reason to explain what you're feeling. You can't just say that and not have something to back it up. Well, I'm here to tell you, I disagree. If you know it and if you sense it, especially as a woman, your body is so powerful and so receptive, you're feeling something's off, and that is real. So I say,
Mhm.
honor that, trust that, and sit with it in meditation and allow it to play itself out. Because here's the thing, someone who's meant to be in your life, someone who has your back, they're going to hear you out. They're going to work with you. Someone who doesn't want to face the truth, they're going to become defensive. They're going to become angry. They're going to get mad at you because you're exposing truth. So all you have to do is let everything play out while you remain centered into your truth. That's my biggest piece of advice for where we're at
Amazing.
right now. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, and even before you were saying, as I was asking about your daily practices, you're saying that you like really opening the channel. Do you
Mhm.
do that like morning and evening? Is how, like, as you're saying those pieces, what are some tidbits or like first baby steps that you would recommend for someone who's like, I don't know, I'm in the chaos on a daily basis and I have this and I have this and I have this and I have this and I have this. Like, what would be your like, okay, there's one tidbit that I would give you or one activity. What would that be?
So I'm trying to think of something that like I wouldn't have to sit with someone and teach them and show them pictures, like something simple. So let me just kind of feel into that for a second. You know what I would say? Close your eyes, speak to the mind and remind it that it it can relax. I love you. Thank you for all that you do, but you can rest now. And then
Mm,
go into your body, maybe one hand on your heart, one hand on your sacral, your lower stomach, and just say, "Hey, I see you, soul. I see you, God essence, and I allow you to come forth, and I allow you to wake up, and I allow you to expand from within." And sit with that and breathe into the expansion. Let yourself surrender. Let your body surrender. A lot of us, because of childhood and because of different traumatic experience, especially light workers who are very high advanced souls that came into a low dimensional earth realm. As children, even if they experience subtle darkness around them, that's very traumatic for a high dimensional soul that came from a place where there was no darkness, right? So the soul most likely has never been fully safe in this body, even if the trauma doesn't seem that big of a deal, right? And so I'm a huge advocate of honoring each trauma, no matter how minor or major it is, as the same type of experience that the soul's just afraid and was afraid to just fully embody. So if you can make that soul feel safe and just say, hey, I'm here with you, and I want to help you feel safe, and I want to help remember you, and I want to help come into contact with you. You're opening up the doors. Your soul's going to be kind of excited, and your soul's going to kind of want to come back. And that's where the light is. The light within you is where the soul resides. So then light's going to start turning on. And then when the light starts to turn on from within, it starts to shine light on the different shadows. And that's why when we do the healing work, it's a roller coaster of a ride. It's
Yeah.
not always just up, because what happens is you would activate the light. You start to go up, up, up. You start to remember who you are. You feel great. And then all of a sudden what happens is you reach a plateau where you're like, well, I can't go forward anymore. I'm stuck here because there's a wound. There's a darkness that now the light is finally able to see. And the light has built enough strong of a foundation on this uphill that it just did, that now it's strong enough to come at this darkness and start to approach the wound and start to look at the wound, understand the wound, transform the wound, release the wound. That's why magic happens. And then the light and the wound become one. And
Mm-hmm.
that journey right here where you're working on the wound, that can take a long time. And that's kind of where you go like down, kind of like a retrograde period in astrology. And then it's just that cycle.
And I love that piece of just start by like tapping into yourself and then listening, right? You even took me through the exercise last time of how do you receive information? Because you'll hear like Jordan's story, or you'll hear other people's story of how you think you should receive information, but like all of our clair senses, like some people see, some people hear, some people smell. I just
Mhm.
know, like,
Yeah.
I always, even when I do yoga, I'm like, this thing just popped in. And that's how I explain it, right? It popped in. I know it wasn't my mind. And it was like that. I just know, like, but I think making sure that you're not having expectations going into that. You're just like there to observe, to listen, to be in the peace of being in your body as
Mhm.
opposed to like having some expectation. And like sometimes I felt like I was waiting for the bus and I'm like, okay, like where's this information going to come from? And I'm like, yeah, this is not going to help, Jam. You're not waiting for the bus. Like God's not just going to pop in front of your face and like hand you a note, right? So just playing with it, have fun with it, but like releasing the expectations of what that experience should be like and how you should be communicated with is just from my own personal experience. Everyone's so different. And yeah, I would leave it at that.
I think that's such good advice. I'm so glad you mentioned that. It's really important. Let go of the expectations and allow it to unfold, and just be the observer. Be the observer to your own experience unfolding within you.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, that feels like a lovely note to end on. Anything else? Any
Yeah.
final thoughts?
I would love to pick an oracle card for someone.
Oh, yes. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Please do
Okay, so what I'll
it.
do is I always like to do these in my classes. So for whoever's listening, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick 3 different cards from 3 different decks. So there's going to be card 1, there's going to be card 2, and there's going to be card 3. So
Okay.
right now I'm going to invite you, as I'm getting my cards set up, I'm going to invite you, whoever's listening, to close your eyes, to
Mhm.
tap into that soul, and to ask, is my card going to be 1, 2, or 3?
Mm.
So go ahead and do that right now while I get the cards ready. Starting shuffle. I'm going to pick that first card. I'm going to ask for spirit, source, Gaia, the highest decree of wholeness to come forward. For all those who picked card number 1, this is your card for today. Oh, you got, well, 2 cards. Card number 1, interesting. Wait. It says, it's not time yet. Things are being woven. And then the next one,
Mm.
I remember. Soul plan, the fated life versus the destiny life. Okay, so this is probably telling you to keep surrendering and keep waiting, because you're making a shift between the different frequencies from 3D to 5D, from programmed
Mhm.
to non programmed. Okay, meaning when they say the fated life versus the destiny life, the fated life is, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to have the 9 to 5. I'm supposed to work my way up in the corporate world and get there. That's the fated life. The destiny life is, that's the one where I'm on my highest timeline. That's the one where I'm stepping into my fullest potential. So maybe card number 1, you're on an in-between phase, and the universe is telling you, keep holding on to your truth and let us make things happen.
Love it.
Okay.
Okay.
Card number 2. If this is your card, go ahead and take a nice deep breath and just kind of open your soul. Okay. Ooh, karmic board clearing. Energetic clearing, rewrite your story, live your truth. So you're releasing patterns. You're releasing old generational patterns. You're probably releasing a lot of people right now too. And this is telling you that you now are either in or about to be in a phase where you are going to start completely rewriting your story, and that everything's a clean slate when this time is ready for you, and that you are going to be able to write the story you truly want to live, and to remember to keep dreaming from your heart space, to keep going back in, bringing forward the life of joy. You are a creator, which means you get to create, which means why not dream a little bit and allow whatever it is you
Mhm.
truly want to start coming in and coming out of your mind so you can manifest. Okay. So
Love it.
you've probably actually been through a lot recently with this karmic. Okay, and the last deck for all those who picked card number 3, close your eyes, take a deep breath, witness your soul expanding and ready to receive the information. Okay. Ooh, thrones. This is the front of the card, and this is the back.
Mhm.
Thrones. Opportunity for growth. This is a sacred time of growth, healing, and understanding. There's more information coming your way. Trust that all you need to know will be revealed to you in the perfect time space sequence. If you're experiencing challenges, know that these are growing pains that are contributing to a more aligned future. Only good will come from this situation. Trust that life is guiding you to growth, and the activation mantra is every challenge I face is an opportunity to grow.
That was me. I picked that one. Love it.
Did you? I kind of, after I read all these, I was like, they actually, I kind of feel like all of them have a story. So if you
It's
feel
like
called to all 3 of them, or I guess all 4 of the cards, then go ahead and just take them all, honestly.
I love right? Yes, take
Yeah.
those messages. I actually, as we were talking about that, we've talked a lot about 9 to 5s, and I work with a lot of 9 to 5ers, right? I am a 9 to 5er,
Mhm.
kind of. I have a very flexible schedule. But I want to, and correct me if you feel differently, but I feel like it's not about anti 9 to 5. It's about
Mhm.
what that, like, system can mean for not letting us be the person that we're being, in, like, the system of feeling stuck and not able to express yourself. Like, in my 9 to 5, I very much I'm able to be the life coach. I'm able to be the voice of humanity, connect people, like, and I love that. So my it can create stories for me in my mind about it's getting in the way of me doing podcasting or other coaching or whatever. So it's
Mhm.
more about the energy that you're bringing through that, and then maybe the
Mhm.
lack of boundaries or negativity that it's coming through, as much as about, like, we're not completely like everyone should quit their jobs and be Reiki masters, right? Like, it's
Right.
more just allowing you to feel connected to your soul in whatever you are doing, even if you're working whatever job, not letting that be the excuse to not feel aligned and not let your voice or whatever's feeling called be shared. What would you add to that?
Absolutely. And I'm so glad you brought this up because I think that this deserves that level of clarity. And yes, when I do refer to the whole concept of the 9 to 5, it's more of that systematic approach to living your life where you're basically, just kind of surrendering into the fact that, like, oh, you're kind of moving along. Cause I've seen this with a lot of people. A lot of people that come into sessions are like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't feel fulfilled in my work. And there are a lot of people working like a normal 9 to 5 job, but they feel very fulfilled because they're following their soul journey. And it happens to be
Mhm,
like a 9 to 5 schedule. So I
mhm.
don't mean to kind of
Yeah.
come after this 9 to 5 like it is some terrible thing and you're not living your truth. It's more so kind of the system behind it that keeps us removed from our own soul essence, right? And
Yeah.
so I think that, I've seen people come into my sessions and start to have missions and start to remember who they are. And then they leave the session and then they come in next time like, oh, I quit my job as this and blah, blah, blah. And then they get stuck because they haven't built the business platform. I mean, it's taken a very long time to build the clientele basis that I have now, right? I would
Yeah,
say 5
right,
years to be at the level I'm at. That's a long time to have to invest and to be patient. And
right.
so and to work really hard. So keep that in mind. You don't just want to jump ship. You still want to be smart and you still want to use that incredible brain of yours that does operate from this very logical place. You want to be able to combine the two aspects, right? And to be able to, if you want to start shifting your career, hold on to what you got because you need to make money. You need to pay rent and
Mhm.
get food and all the things. And you want to be able to have fun in your life too, right? So you want to be able to make money. And at the same token, start doing small steps to start building. And then what's going to happen is there's going to be a moment in time where you have done enough of those small steps. You look back at your path and you have had a whole long path of all these small steps that now have created a long path for you. And that's when you start to make the decisions like, maybe I can actually cut out my hours here and start going here a little more. But it's a slow process. You want to be smart. You want to be rational. We still are in a
Mhm.
3D earth realm consciousness where we still do need to adhere to some of those universal laws of this realm. And I think that's really important. So I'm really glad you brought that up.
Yeah, well, and I think for me, it's like weaving things into my day to day, right? Once someone's like, "Oh, I wish I could just live on vacation," I'm like, I don't want to live on vacation, but if I can weave like little spa moments into my week, like with face
Mhm.
masks or pedicures for myself or yoga sessions or whatever it is, and I think it's the same here. Is you can create this like spiritual daily practices where you're feeling like you're just constantly, not constantly, but you're connected and you know what your soul is saying and where she lights up and where your strengths are and how you can shine to the world. Like, how can you bring that into your day to day, whatever you are doing? Right. I think it
Mhm.
doesn't have to be like the job is, and I get it. I do the same thing too. I'm like, oh, corporate America. But it's not about corporate America. Like, it's more like, how am I showing up through that platform? I can be whoever I choose to be in whatever environment. Like, don't let that be an excuse for poor behavior or numbing yourself or playing small. Like, those are the things that we're saying is you still get to be you and play big and incorporate that. And the goal is, how do you weave it into whatever you're doing, whoever you're
Mhm.
with? So, yeah.
Well, what one more thing to say about that I think super important is, it is a system that is being shifted. And I think everyone knows the system needs to be shifted. The way things are
Yeah.
going right now doesn't give a lot of people their own freedom and doesn't give them a lot of sense of some people don't get a lot of feeling of value and fulfillment. And
Mhm.
I feel like there's a shift that needs to occur in some of the ways that some businesses are operating. And so what I'm seeing happening right now with my clients is it doesn't mean like, yeah, you have to jump and become this coach or a healer. It's not at all what a mission could be. That could be someone's mission, but someone's mission might be starting a business, let's just say a restaurant, okay? And instead of treating the employees like quick turnovers, oh, they missed a shift or oh, they did
Yeah.
this wrong or a customer got mad at them and being like you're fired, maybe bringing more of a higher level consciousness and love and understanding to the person like, let's talk about this. What was your experience? Tell me your side of it. What could you have done differently? Let's keep working on it and try it again. Or maybe instead of the owner making, 90% of the income or 80% of the income and paying their employees at such a small rate, maybe it's actually creating a new consciousness where we're paying employees at a higher value because they're being honored for what they're bringing in. So it
Yeah.
doesn't mean like we're just dropping the system and we're all becoming healers. It just means
Yeah,
we're
no.
bringing more of a
Yes.
higher level of awareness, love, consciousness, sovereignty into all the systems that are already in play.
Yes, 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 yes. Humanity, right? Humanity for all of
Mhm.
us. Yeah, no, well said.
Yeah.
Well said. Well, I won't start us on another tangent. That was your cards. Thank you for pulling the cards. I hope, yeah, everyone takes that with them today and holds that energy as they need it. But Jordan, this was such a pleasure to chat with you. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a lovely weekend.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you honoring me and letting me share my voice with you and with the others in your audience. And it's always a pleasure chatting with you, Gemma.
You as well. So good to hear your story. I've never heard it before, which is why this podcast was created. I want to hear
Oh,
stories. So thank you for sharing.